So, when you're talking about Christmas movies and when you say the greatest of all time, a lot of people tend to go on whether it's Home Alone, whether it's the Christmas Story. There are just certain films around Christmas time that are just classics and one that people tend to watch every Christmas. Well, actually, Elf also is on that list of movies that happen to be one of those favorites for many. And it's not to make you feel old or anything like that, but actually, Elf is 21 years old. If you ever wondered exactly when Elf actually came out. So the Will Ferrell-led, Jon Favreau-directed Christmas film has become a certified holiday classic for millions around the world, and Will Ferrell feels incredibly lucky to have been a part of it. Elf basically follows Buddy, who accidentally crawls into Santa's sack of presents as a baby and is taken to the North Pole. And then after being raised as an elf, Buddy sets off to New York to find his real human parents with no concept of how the human world works. It's really quite special. The actor told People in an interview to promote the new documentary Will and Harper, and to fans, Buddy the Elf is is as synonymous with Christmas as Santa himself. The film has an ever-expanding fan base that continues when new generations are introduced to the Christmas classic. And this is why, say what you want about Elf, Elf is definitely one of the top Christmas movies easily. It's also, like, along with Home Alone, one of those movies that, you just can watch at any time of the year, whether it's summer, whether it's Christmas time, whether it's September, you can watch that film and still be enamored with it because of how funny it is as a film, not just a Christmas film, but just as a film alone. There's very few Christmas movies that you can say that you can watch in July and still be entertained by it in that period that is not Christmas. I know there's two films for sure, Home Alone and Elf, that can do that. You can watch it anytime throughout the year and still have the same amount of fun watching it as you would during Christmas time. Now, Will Ferrell said he even gets approached by fans who watch the film at any time during the year, like I just mentioned, and not only during the holidays, but year-round. I have people come to me saying, we watch Elf on July 4th. We just loved it, he said. Alongside Will Ferrell, Elf also stars, the likes of the late James Caan, Peter Dinklage, the late Bob Newhart, and of course, Edward Ashner. And Will Ferrell's, if you know Will Ferrell and his catalog of movies, you would know that he's, of course, one of the funniest actors in, of course, Hollywood. But Will Ferrell never expected Elf to be such a hit with fans. The actor loved the movie and didn't see any issues with it during production. And this is where it comes into the story now, as of gonna get to that in a moment, where a sequel was basically brought to Will Ferrell. And I'm going to get to his response in a moment. But for the most part, we've only just hit December, and fans are already, of course, right now binging their favorite Christmas classics and films. I haven't started yet. I'm more than likely going to do it possibly this weekend into next week. But fans have already started since early December rather, starting their Christmas streaming, and Elf has already shot up to the top of Hulu's streaming chart. The ranking proves there's nothing like a Christmas classic like Elf, and managed to beat out some of the tops, whether it's the Nutcrackers or National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation or even Polar Express. But considering Will Ferrell basically talking about in 2021, he basically revealed that he was actually approached about making a sequel to Elf. Now, despite being offered a ridiculous amount of money to return, Will Ferrell didn't like the script and knew it would do a disservice to the original. And that is something that I wish more actors would do where sequels are concerned, not just because you get a lot of money thrown your way means that you would just settle for taking the original for what it is, doing a disservice, and do a lackluster sequel to that original, which is engraved in people's mind as such a standalone stature of a movie, an impactful movie, and you just do a sequel just for doing sequel because you get paid a lot of money, and now you have what would have been a great film, just a standalone film, be so iconic, and now you have a sequel to that film, and now it's like, okay, the franchise is kind of tainted because now the story continues with the sequel, and it's less than what the original was. And I'm glad that he left Elf the way it was and did not sign on to do a sequel because of the script being not up to par according to him. And I'm glad that he did that. No amount of money can destroy what an original Elf, the original Elf movie really was. And I wish a lot more actors would have that, mindset that if I don't like the script, or if I don't feel like the script is going to elevate the original film or the original storyline, or it's going to do justice to the original film, I'm not signing on to it, no matter how much money you're going to throw at me to do that particular sequel. This is where I feel a lot of movies run into trouble, where they try to start these franchises just because a film was successful in their first run. All right, let's see, and this is where studios come in. Let's see if we can capitalize off of that 20 plus years later and try to do a sequel, because the first film was successful, so you have a fan base there, so more than likely they're going to come back for the sequel. But then you have I don't want to say horrible, but you have a writing room or a writer that doesn't necessarily capture the essence of what the first one was, and then you have a weaker script, and then you come on and you do a second film, and then it just is a train wreck of a movie, and now that is the lasting impact that you have from that particular storyline of that film is what they last saw being the last thing that they saw from the original product. And that's where a lot of movies get into trouble, and I'm glad that they didn't destroy or try to do a disservice to Elf by having a sequel that is nowhere near being as great as the original film was. So shout out to Will Ferrell for not necessarily taking up the script of Elf 2. Now, not to say more than likely that there isn't a possibility that another script can be drafted, and maybe if that one's better and he agrees to do that one, then maybe we can talk about that, if that is something that does hit his, desk or something, to the point where a better script is more to his liking, where he can see him doing that role once again. But as of now, the script that was brought to him, he says, nope, I'm passing on that one. And for now, doesn't going to appears to be an Elf 2. I think that's how it should be. Some films just are meant to be left alone. All right, that's our Movie Vault for today here on 102.7 FM. 22 minutes we've got moving up until the hour of 4 here on this Thursday afternoon. Definitely stick around. We've got more Christmas music on the way for sure. Got a little bit of Luther Vandross, Amy Grant, Kenny Rogers, and more, all right here inside of the afternoon program. Definitely stick around, and still got one more artist birthday spotlight to get to also in the afternoon program as well.